Hi everybody. Today my topic is supersonic mass selected electrospray deposition system based of complex molecules on surface. We used here the mass selection. Before I talk about the technique or methods, the electrospray ion beam deposition is used to study complex molecules in surface. We use it with non-volatile materials that mean large molecules, nanoparticles, dye sensitizer of photovoltaics, water splitting solar cell. The mass selection is used to prevent the contaminants in the original solution to access to the surface. Here for here in figure 2 is in figure 2, this is the data collected by fluorescence. These two data is comparable together and very extremely similar. We're using the mass selection to deflect the beam, and we get the equal currents for that hitting both targets at 3000 volt and 3300 volt. In figure 3, this is the data collected by fluorescence. Is completely different from the figure 2 according to the difference of molecular weight. In fluorescent have like 332 gram per mole, but for fluorescence it's have like 186 gram per mole. And we get here the equal current at 3000 volt, 3600 volt and 3700 volt. That means the fluorescence is lighter solvent, deflected more than the fluorescent that in figure 2. The heavier molecules such as fluorescent is like have higher kinetic energy than the lighter ones. For figure 4 is data collected taken by mixture of fluorescent and fluorescence. Is provide the success of the two experiment in figure 2 and figure 3 is used. The figure 4 or the data used in figure 2 use two molecules is used to separate two components of the beam, which is the light and heavy molecules, and is it's like this experiment is success and told us that the two experiment in figure 2 and 3 the lighter one is deflected more the heavier one. For figure 5 is Simeon simulation. We use it to know if in the lens where defocus the beam over all the whole samples. And in figure 6 is about NaCl, sodium chloride. We introduce it to test the success of the Enzel lens in the real life using XPS. And we see that the Enzel lens has no effect in terms of sodium chloride deposition. Maybe the reason for that probably because the sodium chloride beam contain a lot of neutrals, And the inval length doesn't change the spot size of the deposition, where the spot will be stay the same size, which we can observe that by XPS. The conclusion is the mixture of fluorescence and fluorescence is present us the success of the success of the experiment, that the lighter molecules deflected more the heavier one, and the simulation we use it. I mean the inval length we use it to defocus the beam over the whole samples. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation.
Research is semantic analysis using NLP, the natural language processing. The NLP for treated posts in different languages, and we would like to show an example of sentiment on global warming issues. I'm Patient Shea from Mission Zhenji University, Taipei, Taiwan. And why we would like to do this research is because we are really thinking that the climate changing is happening. We really think that there is a thing happening now. We really think that it is a need that we need to concern about the climate change. Back to 2009, some people, they are really think that it is not the truth. So that's why there's a term climate gauge. Since it's illegal actions that people are thinking that the scientists are not telling the truth, whether the climate change is happening. In fact, there are a lot of research, and I listed these two institutes claim that the global warming is happening. There is a climate change. And we also see that Twitter has announced the Earth Day on May 22nd. And so means that the scientists, their research results are true. So there is a climate change. We can see that how the social media, especially like Twitter, they are really think that environmental topics, the people, when they post the posts on the Twitter, they have to think different thoughts, and then the people who post the messages about the environmental issues that could influence others who are reading the posts. So we could really see the influence of the social media on environmental topics is increasing. And that's looking at how we would like to study this issue that when people post the messages on the Twitter and how the sentiment change, and whether that we could really claim that the environmental change, the climate change is happening. So we were looking at the NLP, natural language processing, and we are looking at the multiple languages. In Taiwan, we speak Chinese. We also using English in lecturing in the school. And some people in Taiwan like to learn Japanese. And so we pick these 3 languages. And when we are wanted to analyze the Twitter's post, we have to go through different process. Some are similar, like for example, Chinese and Japanese, they are similar. So you could see that the Chinese and Japanese, they have go through the word segmentation, And then we also need to do the POS, part of speech tagging, also for Japanese. And we also need to do the English analysis, English sentence, the word and the sentences analysis using the same techniques, the part of speech, POS tagging. The differences is that the English has to utilizing lemmatization and stemming. And the finally step is the sentence parsing. And here in my slides, I carefully review the literature and then to find some of the useful tools that allowed us to analyze the Chinese words and sentences. And we utilizing the first one, the CKIP transformer, because this is developed by in our country, the Sinica corpus. This is we call the Sinica corpus, and the newest versions 4 is in right now. You can download it. It is open data, and you can also using this one, this one, and this one. And so, but we specifically using this model for Chinese, and you can also using the Stanford for the English, of course. Later on, you'll see that. And for the POS tagging, we have to make sure that the words has been labeled, and then so we could continuously to do the other steps and then to find out the syntax and semantics. When we are carrying out the sentence analysis, we're utilizing we based on this research, Chen and Huang's research, and to extract the sentences from the corpus and to automatically analyze them into a structured trees through computation. So this is the process that could be done automatically by using the model. The model was developed by Chen and Huang in 1996. And you will see that the English processing start from the POS tagging. And the differences is that we're using this techniques, NLTK, Nature Language Toolkit. You could also using the other algorithms and to do the analysis and to start analyzing the sentences. The important step is to do the sentence parsing, since that we wanted to know the relations between the words in the sentences. So we're using Stanford parser that I mentioned before. The standard parser has the Chinese corpus that you could use. You could also using the English English post to do the analysis. For the Japanese, and we carry out a similar step as we analyzing the Chinese word and sentences. However, the Japanese, they have developed their own model. So it's better to using their own model. And you can see that they have developed the MeCap. And there's also another tools that is used for the syntactic analysis. And for example, the KNP is a system that can analyze the syntax, the case, and an allegoric expression of Japanese sentences. And there's also another professor, and then he developed Jument++ and to make the KNP to perform well. And this is also a very good study, and to tell us that this is the way that this is really what we really wanted to do. Based on the studies, we wanted to analyze the sentiment of the post, and then we kind of refer back to these studies, how they carry out the whole process to do the analysis, the Twitter post analysis. And we know that they're using an application, and using this application to do the analysis. And we also know that they have 3 levels: positive, negative, and a neutral. And so we will see that they found that the public hidden worries about the gene added food. And so we find that maybe we could also using the similar steps and to do our analysis and to see whether the climate change is happening, and the posts, they may have different parties of the posters. And we would like to know that whether they really worry about the climate change. And so these are the steps that we do the data collections, and we using this portion to train the model and then to test it. And you can see that for each step in our research methods, we have to collect the data for Chinese, for English, and for Japanese. And we also try to make sure that the words, the keywords that we use is really usually commonly words that the people will type when they post the Twitter. And so these are the examples, the primary keywords. And then we also have other keywords that is similar to that people, when they want to share their emotion, share their feeling, and they will use those words in the post. After data collection, we have to remove some not necessary information, or we can say not necessary data. For example, the URL, the emoji, the mention someone's names, and also the likes and success, etc., to make sure that our data are clean. After that, we start to do the labeling for our training data set. And then we pick the CNN model, the convolutional neural network model, to run our testing data set. When we are building the CNN model, we have to preprocess the training set. We have to using the Word2Vec, and this is quite useful when we run other projects. So we're still using the same way to preprocessing our training data set. After that, we have gone through the whole process that I mentioned that to you in the previous slides. And we have to adjust the parameters, of course, for the CNN models. And we also refer to the key paper, LeCun, that published the paper in 1998. And we performed the natural language processing to classify the sentence. And we could see that the more and more people start using the CNN model and to perform not just for the imaging recognition or object detections, but also for the languaging analytics. And we're also using the library, the Python's Google Trend library, and to translate the languages and to make our analysis more accurate. And so this research is still continuing. And then the initial finding is that we collected 400 tweets, and we have labeled those words, those emotional posts. And we also started to do the word segmentation and POS tagging. We carry out those process, and we also put that process to run our training set on with the CNN model. And after adjusting the parameter, and we found that the accuracy looks very nice. And we also found that if we carefully treated the adjectives for every post, then we will have a better result. And this is a very useful finding for our follow-up research. So that is my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Pai, for your wonderful presentation.
I'm from Department of Chemistry, TheIIER College of Engineering. I'm the research scholar. And our research topic is foliar application of eco-friendly star-stabilized nano TI2 stimulant for enhancing growth performance of jasmine plants. So why we do this work is because in recent years, the agriculture sector is facing many problems. The excess amount of the excess use of conventional chemical fertilizers and the resulting environmental problems which caused by the chemical fertilizers is the main problem faced by the farmers, and also the biotic and abiotic stresses which affect the plant growth and yield and become economic losses to the farmers. So a remediation is nanofertilization, which improves the soil fertility, productivity, and quality of agricultural produces, and it is an eco-friendly technology for sustainable agriculture. So introduction to our research work. Jasmine, the binomial name is Jasminum samba, is one of the most important traditional flower in India. It is cultivated commercially for domestic and industrial purposes. For the flower buds are used for making bouquets, strings, mainly for grand hairdressing, and the extraction of the essential oil from the jasmine plants is used for preparing perfumes, hair oils, asmins, etc. About 60,000 small farmers around Madurai, it's a district of Tamil Nadu in India, depend on the income from the jasmine flower cultivation. Of course, the jasmine plants are affected by many diseases due to abiotic and biotic stresses. and it will result a low yield of flowers with poor quality and affect farmers' income. To overcome this, modern agriculture stimulants are used along with fertilizers, fungicides, herbicides, etc. Then a wide range of nanostimulants are used to enhance the plant growth and crop production. The nanostimulants such as zinc oxide, titanium dioxide, cerium dioxide, silicon dioxide, etc. Among these, titanium dioxide nanoparticles are promising an efficient nutrient source for plants to increase the biomass production of plants. Then titanium dioxide stimulates the metabolic activities and modulate plant growth and enhance the photosynthetic pigments under normal and stressed conditions. And titanium dioxide stimulants also promote the nutrient uptake efficiency of green plants. The materials and method. The methodology which we are following for our research work is, first of all, synthesis of the starch stabilized nano titanium dioxide colloids. For synthesis of titanium dioxide, required amount of titanium isopropoxide and acetic acids were dissolved in distilled water, stirred well until get a clear solution. Then required amount of urea was added to the solution and stirring for complete dilution. Then the mixture was heated at 300 degrees Celsius and continue heating at 500 degrees Celsius for 4 hours in a closed atmosphere. Then the powder is mixed with the starch solution to make starch stabilized TaO2 for application of green plants. Then before application of the on plants, a characterization has done by the characterization of colloidal TaO2 by means of XRD, diffused reflection spectrum, and FESM, then applied on the leaf surface of jasmine plants. Then studied the phenology of jasmine plants and physiological studies like chlorophyll content by means of absorption spectrum and reflection spectrum. Then also studied the analysis of pest, studied the pest control of jasmine plants. So results and discussion. First of all, characterization of colloidal TaO2. The first one is XRD, pattern of TaO2 colloids. The pattern of synthesized materials combined with anatase, rutile, and brochite phase of titanium dioxide. The figure shows that there is a good agreement between the calculated and observed pattern. The synthesized titanium dioxide formed in anatase phase and exactly matches with the pattern of anatase TaO2. The evidence is the JCPDS number is 782486 is same to the anatase phase of standard titanium dioxide. Then the FESM analysis of titanium dioxide colloids. Figure shows the morphological structure of synthesized titanium dioxide analyzed in a range of 100 to 200 nanometer. The fine particles of synthesized titanium dioxide have spherical morphology and porous structure. So so the structure of the synthesized titanium dioxide should have more suitable for high efficient activation of plant leaves because of its structure. Then diffused reflection spectrum of synthesized colloidal TaO2. The urea, the figure shows that diffuse spectrum of the synthesis TaO2. The urea assisted salt cell synthesis of titanium dioxide shows a sharp absorption at 400 nanometer and weak absorption in the visible region at 400 to 600 nanometer. So the material shows two types of optical observation. One is in the UV region and the other absorption in visible light region. So it's clear that the synthesized titanium dioxide is highly useful for harvesting solar light and it can stimulate the plant leaves. So to come to morphological characterization of the jasmine plants, first of all, morphological characters. The figure in figure, the capital A and small a shows the plants growing without titanium dioxide. Which means the controlled jasmine plants, and the B and capital B, the plants and the flowers which are treated with colloidal titanium dioxide. When compared with the control and when compare the titanium dioxide treated jasmine plants with the controlled one, there is an increase in shoot length, number of branches, number of leaves, number of flowers, and the flower pedicule length is increased in TiO2 treated jasmine plants, and the flower weight is also increased in TiO2 treated plants. Flower size is also increased, and the blossoming time increased to 2 to 3 hours. The blossoming time of the treated jasmine flowers is 2 to 3 hours longer than the untreated one. Here the table shows that the comparison between the controlled and TiO2 coated jasmine, the characters of the jasmine plants. Then TiO2 nanoparticles are positively have positive effect on pest control in jasmine plants. The plants which is treated with the titanium dioxide have shown resistance against the red mites and sooty mold, which are the two mites which affect make disturbance in growth and yield of jasmine plants, and the titanium dioxide is against the larvae of red mite and sooty mold larvae. Then physiological characters. Chlorophyll content. The chlorophyll content is studied by absorption spectrum and the reflection spectrum. It is found that the chlorophyll content is higher in titanium dioxide sprayed jasmine plants than the controlled one. In absorption spectrum, the absorption maximum is compared at 662 nanometer, and it is observed that chlorophyll content is increased in 30% in titanium dioxide treated plants. The photocatalytic nature of the titanium dioxide positively influences the process of stomatal conductance, oxidation reduction reactions, and also increases the Rubisco activity. Hence, increase the chlorophyll formation and parallelly enhances the CO2 absorption by phytosequestration. And it results in the enhanced photosynthesis and improves the plant growth and yield performance. Then the increase in chlorophyll content is further confirmed by reflection spectrum. In this figure, the diffused reflection spectrum at the wavelength of range from 400 to 800 nanometer. Figure shows a lower reflection at 550 nanometer, and so it indicates the higher concentration of chlorophyll content in jasmine plants. So let's conclude. So the synthesized titanium dioxide nanostimulants are eco-friendly, which not make any problem regarding environmental pollution or other health issues or the soil health or plant health. And the synthesized titanium dioxide nanocolloids play an important role in growth and development of jasmine plants, and it enhances the crop yield by increasing chlorophyll content and photosynthetic activity. The colloid nutrients enhances the enzyme it acts as a catalyst and promote the enzyme activity and increases the nutrient uptake by the plants, and it improves the plant resistance against biotic and abiotic stresses, and it is also increases the blossoming time of the flower bud. So it is favor for the farmers and sellers. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation, ma'am. Please share your email address out here in chat box. We'll go ahead with the next presenter. I believe the technical difficulties are done. Can you present now?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the inconvenience. Well, the topic of my research is corrosion inhibition of methionine as a green corrosion inhibitor for carbon steel in the presence of ethanol and monoethanol amine. My name is Aspan Shahab, and I am a master's student in Mehran University of Engineering and Technology, Pakistan. So these are the contents of my presentation. And without any further ado, I'm going to the introduction. So as we are all aware that the carbon steel corrosion is the talk of the town, as many huge losses are occurred due to it. Carbon steel has a number of applications, like it is used in buildings and bridges, cars, gears, railways, pipelines, fridges, washing machines, to name a few of them. As carbon steel alloys are mainly used in automobile body components, so they due to these metallic structures, they come in contact with corrosion. Nowadays, corrosion inhibitors are utilized all around the world to protect the metal and alloys in corrosive environment. But as these toxic inhibitors are useful, they also come with a number of drawbacks, like they are hazardous to health in addition to being highly toxic. Due to this fact, only the green corrosion inhibitors are mostly recommended for corrosion prevention. Although many green non-organic components are used before as corrosion inhibitors, but they have not been successful at high temperatures. To deal with this issue, in my research, I have used amino acids that are perfect and when it comes to green corrosion inhibitors. As these amine-based corrosion inhibitors are green, they are economical in terms of cost. In addition to that, they are biodegradable and soluble in aqueous conditions. In number, there are about 20 different amino acids, and the one that I've used in my research is methionine. For this study, the one I've taken is methionine, and because the methionine has both NH2 and SCH3 groups, it is biodegradable and is cheaper than other amino acids, so it is more feasible for the industry. And due to the sulfur atom inside the methionine, the inhibition efficiency increases. So for this study, the varied mass fractions of the aqueous methionine mixtures are as follows. That in the first mixture, that will be 2% methionine, and the second one 5% methionine, and in the third one 8% methionine. So the goal of this study was to seek a green corrosion inhibitor. This green corrosion inhibitor needs to be present commercially. So in addition to that, it is economical for small scale industries. This inhibitor is able to prevent the carbon steel corrosion in carbon dioxide absorption processes where amino acids are used. The experimental technique utilized in my work is simple weight loss technique. So the objectives of my research are these. First, I will make a mixed solvent blend from amines and amino acids. Then I will investigate the corrosion of that solvent, and in the end I will find the protection efficiency, that how much I was able to protect the carbon steel with my synthesized solvent and without it. So this is the research methodology, that corrosion rate of aqueous methionine is carried out with the help of weight loss method. It is the simplest form of corrosion monitoring. Weight loss method basically means like using a sample specimen in a corrosive environment for a limited amount of time and then finding out the change in weight with respect to time. Weight loss method is quite simple and straightforward as it has no special needs. We just need any type of coupon and a coupon holder and a blue cap bottle, nylon wire, glass soap so that we can carry it to in the blue cap bottle, and we need varying degrees of sandpapers. It is one of the oldest technique, yet it is still reliable in many circumstances. These were the chemicals purchased for the current research, like methionine was purchased and sodium hydroxide was purchased, monoethanolamine was purchased. In addition to that, in order to make the solvent blend, first we have to the aqueous blend of methionine was required so that it was made by neutralizing methionine dissolved in the double distilled water with sodium hydroxide of equal molar quantity. For this experiment, all three different compositions were mixed. Solvents are taken into account for this corrosion experiment. In order to find corrosion rate, three metal specimens were hanged with a glass soap in different corrosion solvents. Before starting the process, coupons were prepared as per the standards of ASTM G190. After properly cleaning the metal specimens with varying sandpapers, what I did that I had to find the length and breadth of the metal specimen. So I measured it with vernier caliper, and for the thickness, I calculated it with screw gauge. Later on, after getting the dimensions of metal specimen, their raw weight was calculated before the corrosion. Then, with the help of the glass soak, the metal specimens were dipped in respective mixed solvent blends for specified amount of time. In the exposure part, what I did that aqueous methionine solvent is filled in blue cap bottle of about 250 ml, and the coupons were hanged with respective coupon holders. Once the exposure is done, then starts the post-exposure cleaning process, which is quite similar to coupon cleaning process as explained above. As the corrosion time was completed, the metal specimens were washed with tap water and later on they were cleaned and left to dry. In order to save metal specimens from reacting with water or with the atmosphere due to humidity, the metal specimens were put into the closed jar for about 15 minutes. Again, the weight of the metal specimens were calculated after the corrosion exposure. As all the values were attained for the formula of corrosion, they were put into the formula. And the formula is for the corrosion is delta W dot K divided by A dot T dot T, which will be explained later on. And so these are the results and discussion of my research, that without corrosion, when I did my research, it was the corrosion rate was 2.41 millimeter per year, and we had no protection efficiency. But with my first aqueous methionine solvent at lower concentration, it reached to 62.40, and later on in for the medium concentration of aqueous methionine solution, it reached with to the protection efficiency of about 63.77. After that, with some later on, when I tried to change the aqueous methionine solution to a higher range for methionine, the protection efficiency reached to 66.81. This proved that as the amount of methionine was increased, the corrosion rate was decreasing significantly. As the methionine amount was increased in the solution, the protection efficiency was increasing. And these were the formulas that were used in my research. This is an example, and this is a table that I've put it here, that the corrosion rate and protection efficiency of aqueous methionine solvents against carbon steel in millimeter per year, with and without inhibitor. It is quite clear here that in our blank solution, the carbon steel corrosion was 2.31. Later on, with the first aqueous methionine solution, at lower concentration, it changed to 0.85, like it reduced 3 times. Then, with the next medium concentration solution, it reduced further, and later on, in the final solution, it reduced even more to 7.076. In the results, I have added here another graph which shows that without the corrosion, like without the solution, in the blank solution, the results were quite high. The corrosion was quite high, but later on, when the aqueous methionine solution was used, and as the concentration of methionine was increased, it was proven and shown that the corrosion rate for carbon steel with the presence of methionine inhibitor, the corrosion rate reduces dramatically. And here in this graph, I have shown the corrosion protection efficiency, that as this figure clearly displays that as the concentration of methionine is increased in the aqueous methionine solution, the protection efficiency of the solution also soars with it. Like at 2%, like in the first solution, the protection efficiency is around 62%. Then for the next one, it is around 63%. And in the last, it reached almost 66.71%. So in conclusion, I would like to state that the presence of methionine do lowers the corrosion rate even much better than other amino acids. So in this experiments, it was proved that aqueous methionine solution having the composition of 8% methionine, 2% methanol, and 20% monoethanolamine gave the best corrosion efficiency of about 0.76 millimeter per air with a protection efficiency of about 66.811%. And it was concluded that methionine had great inhibition effect for carbon steel corrosion in aqueous methionine solutions. And I would like to end with my final words that methionine can also work as an efficient corrosion inhibitor on a carbon steel surface. So these were my references for my research, and thank you so much.
Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Fanny Koundakou. I'm from Greece, and my study is about the compressive and flexural strength of cement-based composites enhanced with multiple carbon nanotubes. Joint work with Maria Falara, Athanasia Thomoglou, and Anaxagoras Elenas. So let's start talking about multiwall that are recognized as the most commonly used materials for improving the properties of cement-based composites. In our study, in order to prepare cement paste modified with multiwall, type 1 ordinary Portland cement was used. 4 different proportions of multiwall, such as 0.1%, 0.2, 0.3, and 1% of multiwall by mass of cement were applied in order to prepare nanomodified cement-based specimens. This table represents the characteristics of multiwall carbon nanotubes, which are in powder form and were provided by NanoSeal. The dispersion of CNTs is a necessary process for optimizing their performance and improving the incorporation into the cement paste. Otherwise, agglomerates and bundles were observed in the cement, leading to a worse dispersion. In this study, sodium dodecylben sulfonate and 3N-butyl phosphate were added to the mixture for a better dispersion of multiwall carbon nanotubes. In this picture, we can see the amount of multiwall in different proportions. As we can see, there is an obvious difference between the specimen contains 0.1% of multiwall in contrast to the other specimen, which contains multiwall in bigger amount. Also in this picture, we can see the dispersion of multiwall in different proportions. It is observed that in small amounts of multiwall, the dispersion process is more successful as there are no agglomerates in the surface of the bottle. This process was accomplished by 6 minutes of sonication. Upon the completion of the above process, the mixtures containing water, multi-carbon nanotubes, SDBS, and TBP were added into the Portland cement. And in this picture, we can see the preparation of the mixture in order to create specimens with dimensions 40 to 160 millimeters. In order to evaluate the flexural and the compressive strength of multiple carbon nanotubes, a series of 3 Boeing Pendic procedures were performed. As we can see in the pictures, in the left picture, we can see a Dravlik machine for evaluating the flexural strength. And in the right picture, we can see a Dravlik machine for evaluating the compressive strength. The results of every specimen are represented in the following picture. It is shown that the proportion of 0.1% of multiple revealed the best results, flexural results, at 28 days. Similar behavior was also observed for the specimen containing 0.2% of multiple. On the contrary, the amount of 0.3% and 1% caused a decrease in the flexural strength in contrast to the reference specimen. This can be related to the fact that higher proportions of multiple carbon nanotubes cannot be dispersed effectively, leading to inaccurate flexural behavior of the specimens. Here we can also see the results for the compressive strength for all the different proportions. Here it is demonstrated that the amount of 0.1% of multiple revealed the best compressive strength results at 28 days. And also the proportion of 0.2% of multiple increased the compressive strength in contrast to the reference specimens. On the contrary, the proportions of 0.3% of multiples and 1% of multiple caused a decrease in the compressive strength in contrast to the reference specimens. The results are summarized in the following table. As we can see, the flexural and the compressive strength of the proportion of 0.1% of multiple increased by 17% and 5.9% respectively. So to sum up, the amount of 0.1% of multiple carbon nanotubes revealed the best compressive and flexural strength values at 28 days. Also, the proportion of 0.2% of multiple carbon nanotubes yielded an improvement in mechanical properties, but higher amounts of multiple carbon nanotubes cause a decrease in flexural and compressive strength. So in this study proves the ability of low proportions of multiple carbon nanotubes to enhance the microstructural properties of construction materials. This study was funded by a European Nation Union and Greek national funds through an operation program named HICOTEC. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for waiting. That was like a 30 seconds technical error. But I can see again another thing popping in. Okay, Assalamualaikum, good afternoon everyone, and thank you for waiting. I am Jesse James, and with me is Salvador. He and me have been working since the conceptualization of this research by Gumaila, a student who just completed her nursing degree ending this school year. We ventured on the causes of lack of interest and blood donation among eligible individuals and Buraimi. The outline, I have 10 slides, technically 7, that includes the cover, the reference, and of course the thank you slide. The introduction, these are the outline, materials and procedures, results and discussion, conclusion, and the reference. Blood donation is defined or referred as the process of collecting, testing, preparing and storing blood and blood components to save lives of those who are accident victim, undergoing medical procedure, those who have inherited blood-related disorder, and cancer patients. Recently, in Oman, there was a call by the ministry to donate blood. Otherwise, there will be a shortage of blood in the blood banks and in the hospitals. Daily, we are in need of around 4,000 to 7,000 units of blood. And if no blood donation, will take place in a few months, we might run out of supply. For this reason, that this study ventured to know the causes of lack of interest in blood donation among eligible donors in Buraimi. Materials and methods. Appropriate to this study is explanatory description. And we use the Red Cross guideline as to who are the eligible donors. And this is based on the weight, which is not lower than 110, 17 years old, and healthy. These are the criteria to who are the eligible donors. The question as a collective decision from the faculties, the advisors, and the ethics committee, we use stock and exchange idea to come out with 20 items to elicit the reasons of lack of interest. And this fall under personal reason, health and medical reasons, and religious and cultural reasons. Further, with the method and materials, all the three items are answerable with three options: no, yes, and not sure. And at the end, upon collecting, the most basic statistical treatment of percentage was employed, which means that the gathered value divided by the perfect value and multiplied by 100. And thus we come out with the percentage. 120 respondents was the target. And because of the researchers' exposure and the Buraimi Polyclinic, we were able to achieve that in like 29 days. And here is the summary table. As I mentioned earlier, there are three sections. There you can see it. The personal reasons, the health and medical reasons, and the religious reasons. Under the personal reasons, there are 10 items, in which the topmost items at both 83.3 is item number 2, that refers to a traumatic experience. That's why people are a little reluctant to donate blood. And secondly is they are misinformed. Okay, as we can see, no means personal reason is not a hindrance to donate blood, because the total of the 10 items is 62%. Okay, which 62% means yes, I don't have any issue. They don't have any issue with personal reasons. However, when we try to move down to the second and the third, okay, it also clearly states that health and medical reason. This we asked about their history, about their current medical condition, about their perception of their health. And so they mentioned that no, majority of them answered no at 66%, that medical and health reason is not the cause. We went further with the third section, which is religious and culture. We asked them, is your family, your friends, your religion prohibits you from donating blood? And majority of the respond at 73.4% says no. Clearly from the result of the three sections, personal reasons is the cost of the lack of interest in blood donation and real health and medical as well as religious and culture is not an issue for the respondents. Further, we try to compare this study, the result of this study, or rather, let me first, in the first item, the second item in their personal reason is they have a traumatic experience in the hospital. This explains that their experience is subjective as an individual to medical procedure, injury, or treatment that results to a range of complex negative psychological and physiological response. Still, at 83.3%, the same as item number 2. Item number 3 is they are not well informed of the benefit or an explanation that plasma in the body can be replenished within 48 hours and red blood cells back to its normal volume after blood donation within 4 to 8 weeks. We did a benchmarking on 2 studies. This is by Shakiri and by Akam, wherein in their studies, they also found that misinformation, explanation, and benefits and less harm on blood donation is not or are not explained to the respondents. Now, this is the cost. Why they're in their study by Shakiri and by Akam, the personal reasons is the cost for lack of interest to blood donate. Since this is personal, which means that we can condition, we can help people understand what are the possible benefits, what are the effects of blood donation, and we could clear misconception. This is a good thing when it is personal because it is subjective. It is within the bounds of somebody's understanding. But once this is clarified, a clearer perspective will emerge. In conclusion, we found out that health and medical reasons, religion and cultural is not a hindrance, is not the cause of lack of interest to blood donate, rather it's more personal. And among the items, as mentioned earlier, negative hospital experience and lack of information are the topmost reasons why respondents are not interested or lack of interest in blood donation. Having said that, we come to a we recommend that a further study within other governorates, province, and regions of Oman have a parallel study to come out with a more concrete recommendation. As of this moment, this is the recommendation of the study. These are our references. And due to time constraint, if there are suggestions or clarifications, the author's name and their email address are here listed. And finally, me, Salvador, and Camila are all connected to the College of Health Sciences, University of Buraimi, Oman. This ends my presentation. Masalam.
Thank you, Jesse.